Israeli attacks against hospital pushed healthcare system to the point of complete collapse. Biden blocks sale of US steel to Nippon Steel. Hello, good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. Thanks for joining us. I'm SAHIH and you're watching World Today. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk on Friday expressed concern over ongoing Israeli attacks on healthcare care facilities in the Gaza Strip. A human rights catastrophe continues to unfold in Gaza before the eyes of the world, Turk told a Security Council meeting on the situation in West Asia. The destruction of hospitals across Gaza goes beyond depriving Palestinians of their right to access adequate healthcare, since those hospitals also provided sanctuary for thousands of people with nowhere else to go. Turk also called for independent, thorough and transparent investigations into all Israeli attacks on hospitals, healthcare infrastructure and medical personnel, as well as the alleged misuse of such facilities. The rights chief called on Israel to ensure and facilitate access to live-in humanitarian aid, including adequate health care for the Palestinian population, urging Israel to end its continued presence in the occupied Palestinian territory as rapidly as possible. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken will visit South Korea for talks next week, with Seoul mired in political turmoil as it impeached President resists arrest. Blinken, on what will likely be his last international trip before President-elect Donald Trump's return, will also visit Japan and France, the State Department said. South Korea is a key security ally for Washington, but the country has been racked by a crisis sparked by President Yoon Suk-yeol's failed martial law decree in December. Blinken will meet his counterpart, Cho Tae-yul, on Monday, Seoul's foreign ministry confirmed. They are expected to discuss South Korea-US alliance, South Korea-US-Japan cooperation, North Korea issues, and regional and global challenges. After South Korea, Blinken will head to another cornerstone U.S. ally in Asia, Japan, where he will review the tremendous progress the U.S.-Japan alliance has made over the past few years. On Wednesday, Blinken will head to France, where he is expected to discuss the war in Ukraine and crisis in the Middle East. U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Mike Johnson was re-elected to the chamber's top job on Friday. Johnson appeared to initially fall short of the majority he would need to retain his job in an hour-long roll call vote, but two Republican opponents switched their votes to support him after lengthy negotiations. He won re-election with 218 votes, the minimum number needed, with Republicans control the chamber by a razor-thin 219-215 majority. The vote was an early test of the party's ability to hang together as it advances Trump's agenda of tax cuts and border enforcement. It also tested Trump's clout on Capitol Hill. House Republicans have been racked by internal divisions over the last 2 years. They are scheduled together for a retreat in Washington on Saturday, talk about their plans for 2025, and the leadership meets again on Sunday in Baltimore. But the first order of business will be to consider a controversial change to its rules package, which governs daily operations, that would allow only Republicans to force a vote on removing the Speaker. Johnson was elevated to Speaker after the party ousted his predecessor Kevin McCarthy in the middle of his term. Philippine Vice President Sara Duterte will no longer sit on the National Security Council after President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. signed an order removing her office from the agency following a bitter split between the two formerly allies last year. Marcos said the reorganization of the National Security Council (NSC) was needed to ensure that its council members uphold and protect national security and sovereignty. According to the order, which was signed on 30th December and released on Friday, the Council's reorganization was also aimed at guaranteeing a resilient national security institution that was able to adapt to new challenges. The changes have also excluded former presidents from council membership and empowered Marcos to appoint other government officials and private citizens as needed. Sara Duterte, the daughter of former President Rodrigo Duterte, is currently facing impeachment complaints accusing her of graft, incompetence and amassing ill-gotten wealth while in office. She has denied the allegations. Duterte has said she had contracted an assassin to kill the president, his wife and cousin who is the Speaker of the House of Representatives if she herself were killed. She later claimed her remarks had been taken out of context. Poland launched its presidency of the Council of the European Union on Friday with an emphasis on security as the bloc faces the return of Donald Trump to the White House, deteriorating trade relations with China and Russia's grinding war in Ukraine. European Council President Antonio Costa stressed the importance of continued support for Kiev until a comprehensive, just and lasting peace was reached and said defence was a strategic priority for the EU. Poland is seeking a leading role in shaping European policy, especially on security, and Prime Minister Donald Tusk is a well-connected figure on the EU stage. But as European capitals face tough decisions on issues such as how to bolster and finance defence spending, analysts say Warsaw is unlikely to be able to lead on its own. Regarding Europe's collective security and support for Kiev, some analysts said Germany, Europe's biggest economy, could take on a bigger role after its 23rd February national election, which the Conservatives are currently tipped to win. US Steel and Nippon Steel threatened to take legal action after President Joe Biden blocked a controversial $14.9 billion deal for the Japanese company to buy its American rival. Biden cited a strategic need to protect domestic industry, but the move drew sharp criticism from both companies. Biden said in a statement that the acquisition would place one of America's largest steel producers under foreign control and create risks for the national security and critical supply chains. The decision came after a government panel failed to reach consensus last month on whether the acquisition threatened U.S. national security, shifting the decision to the veteran Democrat in the waning days of his presidency. The move nevertheless enjoyed rare bipartisan agreement, with Republican President-elect Donald Trump and incoming Vice President J.D. Vance also campaigning against the sale. The United Steelworkers Union quickly welcomed the announcement. Nippon Steel and US Steel expressed disappointment with the outcome, saying it reflects a clear violation of due process and law. They added that they would take all appropriate action to protect their legal rights. US tech giant Microsoft is on track to pump about $80 billion into artificial intelligence AI this fiscal year. Its president, Brad Smith, said AI is poised to transform all aspects of life, and it is imperative that the United States be the global leader when it comes to the technology. He mentioned in an online post, in many ways, artificial intelligence is the electricity of our age, and the next 4 years can build a foundation for America's economic success for the next quarter century. Smith called on President-elect Donald Trump and Congress to expand support for AI innovation with moves such as increased funding for research at universities. China and the US are racing to spread their AI system to other countries in an effort to become the de facto standard. Hence, the US needs a smart international strategy to rapidly support American AI around the world. China has started offering developing countries subsidized access to scarce computer chips and help building local AI data centers. Microsoft rivals Amazon, Google, and OpenAI have also been spending billions of dollars on AI, even though it remains unclear how and when they expect to profit from those investments. UK car industry sold a record number of all-electric vehicles in 2024 but still fell short of the government's mandated targets. Battery electric vehicles made up 19.6% of new cars sold last year, which was below the government's 22% target for car makers. Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders reported a record annual volume of 382,000 battery electric vehicles sold in the UK last year. The automobile trade body has already warned in October that car makers were at risk of missing government targets, with manufacturers facing government penalties of £15,000 per polluting vehicle sold above the limits. The group's chief executive, Mike Hawes, said that while the market share of electric vehicles grew, this came at a huge cost to the industry. He referred to the billions invested in new models supplemented by unsustainable incentives provided by the industry. Overall, the number of new vehicles registered in the UK increased to almost 2 million, up by 2.6% year on year. Elon Musk's SpaceX said upcoming Starship test flight would include the rocket's first attempt to deploy payloads in space by releasing 10 model Starlink satellites, a key demonstration for Starship's potential in the satellite launch market. The Starship flight from SpaceX Texas facilities, tentatively planned this month, will mark the 7th demonstration in a test to failure style of rocket development. Last October, Starship's Super Heavy first stage booster returned to its launch pad's giant mechanical arms for the first time, a milestone for its fully reusable design. The rocket's 6th test flight in November, attended by US President-elect Donald Trump, achieved similar mission objectives beside the landing of Super Heavy, which was forced to target a water landing because of a launch pad problem. Starship is the centerpiece of SpaceX's future satellite launch business, an area it currently dominates, as well as Musk's dream to colonize Mars. SpaceX is under contract with NASA and to land US astronauts on the moon later this decade using Starship.
Engines lit up onto catch. The return flag is set for true.
Coming up, 13 killed, dozens injured as bus crashes into ravine in Colombia. Vietnam's capital Hanoi has been covered in thick smog over recent weeks, putting it at the top of a list of the world's most polluted cities, as the government said it would push for more electric vehicles (EVs) to elevate the problem. Levels of hazardous small particles known as PM2.5 were measured at 266 micrograms per cubic meter in Hanoi on Friday, the highest reading among a list of most polluted cities according to Air Visual, which provides independent global air pollution information via a phone app. Vietnam, a regional manufacturing hub with one of the fastest growing economies in Asia, has reported severe air pollution in its major cities for years, particularly in Hanoi. The thick smog is mostly caused by heavy traffic, trash burning and industrial activities. So far, Hanoi has a target for at least 50% of buses and 100% of taxis to be electric vehicles by 2030. Deputy Prime Minister Trang Hon Ha called for an accelerated transition to electric vehicles as part of the efforts to reduce pollutions. He added that this is the responsibility of the state to the people and there must be specific and timely actions. Last year was Brazil's hottest on record after a record-breaking drought and flooding in the South American country that climate experts have linked to global warming. The National Institute of Meteorology said the average temperature in 2034 was 25.02 degrees Celsius, 0.79 degrees above the 1991-2020 average. It was the warmest year since records began in 1961, exceeding the 2023 figure of 24.92 degrees Celsius, which was also a record high. The weather agency said the statistically significant trend may be associated with climate change resulting from rising global temperature and local environmental changes. According to a study released last week, Brazil experienced an alarming increase in climate disasters between 2020 and 2023, with almost twice as many events each year on average as in the previous 2 decades. Official data showed an annual average of 4,077 climate-related disasters in the 4-year period, including droughts, flooding, violent storms and extreme temperatures. The United Nations said Monday that 2024 was set to be the hottest year on record for the planet. At least 12 people were injured after a mass car collision in Kazakhstan Akmola region involving 95 cars amid bad weather conditions. Traffic restrictions were initially imposed for all types of vehicles on Friday due to deteriorating weather conditions. The collision occurred on a section of the highway connecting the northern city of Petroval to Kazakhstan's capital Astana. The country's highway operator confirmed a mass collision involving 95 cars took place in part of the highway near the village of Zana Talab, located about 27 kilometers north of Astana. The incident is suspected to have been caused by a combination of low visibility and excessive speed. As of 9 p.m. local time, 85 out of 95 vehicles have been recovered from the accident. At least 13 people were killed and 28 more injured on Friday when a bus travelling on a highway in southwestern Colombia went off the road and rolled into an abyss. The accident occurred near the municipality of Tangua in the department of Nariño, 570 kilometers southwest of Bogota. The bus had left the city of Cali, transporting a group of tourists to the sanctuary of Our Lady of the Rosary of Las Lajas near the border with Ecuador. Colombian traffic police are still investigating the ages and identities of those involved in the crash. It was believed the accident was caused by a mechanical failure in the bus. Maria Costanza Garcia Alicastro, Colombia's Minister of Transport, offered condolences to those involved on his social media platform. Around 8,000 people die annually in Colombia in road accidents, according to statistics from the Ministry of Transport. Up next in sports, Jokovic suffers shock Brisbane international defeat to world number 293 Opelka.
Dengan semangat pantang mundur, aksi perjuangan terus diledakkan. Dalam pertembungan seterusnya, berdepan pasukan Helang Merah, perlawanan bola sepak Liga Super. Jumaat 10 Januari, Kelantan Darul Naim FC bertemu Kedah Darul Aman FC 8.30 malam di saluran OK dan saluran Sukan RTM. Saksikan juga secara penstreaman langsung di RTM Click.
Manchester United forward Marcus Rashford has turned down 3 huge offers to play in Saudi Arabia. According to reports, Rashford is surplus to requirements at Manchester United amid concerns over his attitude and application. The fact that Rashford has failed to perform on the pitch despite earning over £300,000 a week has hardly helped either. Several Premier League clubs have been linked with Rashford in recent weeks, and a report has claimed his dream transfer is to La Liga giants FC Barcelona. Barcelona hardly have the finances to afford Rashford's wage demands, let alone his reported £50 million asking price. There are clubs in Saudi Arabia with the money at their disposal though. However, it was reported that Rashford has rejected 3 huge offers from Saudi Arabia worth £35 million a year, despite being allowed to leave United. Unfortunately for clubs in the Saudi Pro League, Rashford will only go to a competitive club and league that would give him a chance of regaining his place in the England squad. It's understood he has turned down 3 mega money offers from the Saudi Pro League that would eclipse his £315,000 a week deal at United, and has also ruled out any moves to Turkey. Novak Djokovic's hunt for a landmark 100th ATP title ended with a whimper following an unexpected 7-6, 6-3 defeat by big serving American Reilly Opelka in the Brisbane International quarterfinals on Friday. Djokovic saved 3 break points in stifling conditions to go 5-4 but lost the opening set in a tough tie break as Opelka cranked up his serve and seized early control of his maiden tour meeting against the 37-year-old. Opelka, who missed nearly 2 years due to injuries before returning to the elite circuit last year, broke for a 3-1 lead in the next as Djokovic looked rattled by the American. The final blow came on Opelka's serve, and the 27-year-old fittingly finished the match with a 16 ace against one of the game's best returners. Up next for Opelka is Giovanni Metpishi Pericard in what promises to be an explosive battle after the Frenchman sent down 19 aces in his 7-5, 7-6 win over Czech Jakub Mensik to take his tournament tally to 75. Defending champion Grigor Dimitrov went through after Jordan Thompson retired while trailing 6-4, 2-1, while Jiri Lehecka made quick work of Nicholas Jarry, prevailing 6-4, 6-4. Toyota's Hang Latigan won the Dakar Rally Car Prologue in Saudi Arabia on Friday, ahead of Ford M Sport's Matthias Ekstrom and 5-time champion Nasir Al-Attiyah from the Dacia Sunriders team. The times from the 29-kilometre prologue around the southwestern city of Bisha determine the starting order for Saturday's first 413-kilometre stage, but do not count towards the overall classification. South African Latigan, who missed last year's Dakar due to a shoulder injury and last won a stage in 2022, beat Sweden's Ekstrom by 1 second, with Qatari Al-Attiyah a further 19 seconds back. Defending champion and 4-times winner Carlos Sain finished 25th in his Ford M Sport Raptor. Australian Daniel Sanders led the bite standings for Red Bull KTM, finishing 12 seconds clear of heroes Rose Branch and 19-year-old Spaniard Edgar Knet, also on a Red Bull KTM. Honda's defending champion Ricky Brabec of the United States was 18 seconds off the pace in 4th. Spaniard Sandra Gomez, the only female rider in this year's edition, was 65th of 134. Next, aerial spectacle over the skies of Nepal and Qatar during hot air balloon festivals. Hot air balloons soared over the skies of Pokhara last Tuesday as organisers kicked off what they said was Nepal's first ever international hot air balloon event. Organizer Balloon Nepal said 25 hot air balloons participated, with representation coming from countries all over the world. One hot air balloon pilot, Piotr Questra, described his experience as fantastic.
The experience was fantastic. Very nice area to fly, perfect weather for ballooning, not too much wind. You could fly any direction, so yeah, great.
Locals dressed in traditional attire also beat drums and danced to celebrate, while others took photos with their cell phones. Some turned up carrying babies to watch the spectacle that was scheduled to conclude on New Year's Day.
एकदम रमाइलो लाग्यो यो चाहिँ यो इन्टरनेशनल बेलुन फेस्टिभल चाहिँ नेपालमा फर्स्ट टाइम भएकोले पनि एकदमै रमाइलो लाग्यो यस्तो बेलुनहरु चाहिँ पहिला यस्तो आकाशमा धेरै देखे थिएन अहिले चाहिँ एकदम रमाइलो लाग्यो
Organizers said the 9-day festival was aimed at promoting adventure tourism in the Himalayan nation that is home to 8 of the world's 14 highest peaks, including Mount Everest. While the skies over Qatar's Masayat city were alive with vibrant colours during the last day of the country's 5th annual Hot Air Balloon Festival that ended its magical run on 21st December. The festival featured 60 balloons from all over the world, captivating locals and visitors alike with their various shapes and themes.
Who've come to Qatar to take part in the 5th Qatar Balloon Festival. It's very exciting, and we'll be doing flights all throughout the week from Doha, but the winds today were very special, so it allowed us to come down to the sand dunes and do a flight through the sand dunes, which is very exciting for people who don't see sand dunes regularly in their own country. So the flight in the dunes is a very special flight that the pilots like to do.
The final day also offered appropriate weather to allow balloons to soar over sand dunes. The festival ran from 12th to 21st December.
The balloons for me are very exciting. They're a fantastic way to see the world. It's a different form of aviation. It's a very good way of interacting with the community and getting to meet new people, because with a balloon, you never know where you're going to land.
Every Friday, folk musician Enes Salman performs the Sevdalinka, an ancient form of love song from Bosnia and Herzegovina that last month was included in UNESCO's National Inventory of Intangible Cultural Heritage. Sevdalinka, often referred to as the Balkan Blues, is a melancholic urban love song dating back to the 16th century. It is a mix of South Slavic oral poetry and the music of the Ottoman Empire. In recent years, novel interpretations of Sevdalinka by a few young musicians have brought it to global audiences. One of them is Damir Imamovic, whose father and grandfather were famous Sevdalinka bards. Imamovic won awards in 2020, 2021 for the European Best Album by World Music Magazine Songlines and Transglobal.
A razlog zašto sam se počeo baviti obrazovanjem u Sevdahu, istraživanjem, je baš bio taj što sam shvatio koliko malo javnost zna o žanru Sevdalinke i htio sam na neki način ljudima približiti šta je to priča iza te muzike.
Imamovic promotes Sevdalinka internationally through his Sevdalab project, which drum up support for the song's inclusion on the UNESCO's World Heritage List.
76 minit tanpa henti, 76 minutes non-stop. Transparent and concise. Paparan komprehensif, ringkas dan padat. Saksikan Kanta 744, 7.44 malam. Berita perdana 8 malam. Malaysia Tonight, 8:30 p.m.
That concludes today's edition of World Today. In our top story, Israeli attacks against Gaza hospital pushed healthcare system to the point of complete collapse. Till then, I'm SAHIH from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Thank you for watching.